Well, listen, this is not a headline that MAGA expected to wake up to. A Democrat crushed a Republican in rural South Carolina with over 70% of the vote. Now, this was not a swing district. This was a place that Donald Trump won by 18 points statewide. And now a 24-year-old city councilman named Keishan Scott has flipped it blue in a landslide. Democrats do not tend to win these races. They don't even usually show up for some of these races, but they won big earlier this week. And what this hopefully means is that it's an early sign that the old theory might still be true, which is that when Trump's not on the ballot, Republicans are not showing up. And this could be a real problem for Republicans in this forthcoming midterm election, which is now only 17 months away, if you can believe it. Now, in reality, maybe that goes a little too far. Maybe more sort of soberly and conservatively, it means Democrats ran a great local candidate and ran the race correctly in a district that was neglected, where Republicans were sure they were going to be able to coast. So it could just be a local moment, right? The truth could be this is merely a local moment to this is a sign of things to come. The pattern, though, that keeps popping up is Democrats flipped a Pennsylvania Senate seat Trump had won. They stomped Republicans in that Wisconsin Supreme Court race, despite $25 million from Elon Musk. They won a special election in Iowa. And now just absolute obliteration here of the Republican in South Carolina. And interestingly, it's happening while Democrats are polling terribly, 27% approval for Democrats in the latest NBC poll. So what you see are part of the reason, by the way, that Democratic approval is so low. Black voters have slipped in their support for Democrats. Young voters have drifted in their support for Democrats. And a lot of middle class voters are just kind of tuning out. So what's going on here? I think to a degree, we are still living in the psychological aftermath of COVID. This is not about masks or vaccines. It's just that COVID had an impact on our economy and on our day-to-day and our relationship to government and elected officials. A lot of that stuff hasn't really been dealt with. It's just kind of been this vacuum that opened and was filled with bullshit, conspiracy theories, rage and grievance politics, strong men, nostalgia for a past that never really existed. And COVID did decimate trust in a lot of systems, in government, medicine, institutions, not necessarily for good reasons. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And instead of rebuilding the trust, there's kind of been an attempt made to bury the entire thing. And in that void, a lot of stuff has broken. Elections have gotten really weird. Voters have gotten very angry. The country started sort of glitching. And we're in a pendulum swing right now. I talked about this Wednesday night in a Substack Live with Steve Schmidt, which I encourage you to check out on Substack if you missed it. We're in an environment where Republicans obstruct everything when Democrats are in power. Democrats probably play too nice when Republicans are in power. Nothing really gets done. People get disillusioned. And the next election becomes just a rejection of whoever's in charge. And it pains me to say it, but I am dreading that Democrats' big picture, despite this win in South Carolina, which is great, I worry that Democrats are once again kind of counting on negative partisanship to save them in 2026. We really don't like Republicans and what they've done while we're in power, and that's all Democrats have to do. Vote for us, or, Trump's FEMA chief who doesn't know hurricane season exists gets to do whatever he wants, or that sort of thing. Vote against more of a disaster. And that is a situation where the only fuel is fear, and that burns people out. When your only reward is we stopped something that would have been even worse, things probably still get worse, but a little more slowly. So I think we deserve the win here. We celebrate the win in South Carolina. Keishan Scott does deserve it, ran a great campaign, great candidate. But we also say, why did it work there? And why doesn't it happen more often? Because until Democrats actually use their power to make material change, this back and forth cycle with the small pendulum swings is likely to keep happening, and it's not particularly good for the average voter. So this should be inspirational in orienting us to what does need to happen in 26 and 28, but not a sign that we can just assume because Trump wrecks stuff, Republicans will lose everything. That would be very dangerous.